Hey, welcome back to the Disney Plus Everyday Challenge, and today we have Venom, Let There Be Carnage. This is, of course, the sequel to the original Venom film that came out of Sony Studios, mainly because he's a Spider-Man villain. But, of course, he's also a hero. He's the Lethal Protector, as he likes to call himself. This is from 2021. It's an hour and 38 minutes long. It just got released on Disney Plus now after... years. It's not basically the Marvel made a deal with Sony that certain films from the Marvel extended universe here, all the Spider-Man stuff that Sony has access to, well, can make films of, through that deal, it can only start appearing on Disney Plus after so many years. And, well, it's time for this. When we ever get to see Venom 3, The Last Dance, well, that probably won't happen anytime before I finish up this series. So it's going to be probably another year or two, unless something gets bumped up. I have no idea. But what we get here is just more of the same. I have to admit, I've never been a really big Venom fan, except when he was in the comics, originally, drawn by Todd McFarlane in the Amazing Spider-Man series. I bought those issues when they came out, 300, $2.99 technically, but 300. Just, it's an iconic, historic issue, and yeah, he was a scary kind of creature. There's always been a bad guy hell-bent on killing Spider-Man. It's just the way it is. But this was something of his own making. It's a great rollout of a character that I don't know if they ever really expected it to go this direction. This eventually, during Secret Wars, which will be the name of a future future Avengers movie, based loosely on a series that came out in 1984. Why can't I remember? 85? Came out back then, written by Jim Shooter. 12 issues long. It's some pretty cool stuff. It was basically made to sell toys, action figures, and things like that, when a toy company used to own Marvel Toy Biz. So it's all convoluted, but Spider-Man got a brand new suit, but it was black. A machine just sort of spit out a black suit that made him, be able to pull it would just form on his body on command. It was interesting. The thing is, we never got an explanation as to where that suit came from, because in one issue of his main series, he just disappeared in the middle of Central Park with a bunch of other heroes. And then the next issue, he showed up with a black suit. How he got that was later told in issues of Secret Wars in issue 7. So, 7? I always doubt myself in these things. It's just off the top of my head, and it's very late, and I'm tired. So, eventually, Peter went around, swinging around, just wearing a black suit until it overtook him, which is something of what we saw in Spider-Man 3, the Tobey Maguire films. And eventually Venom became its own creature, not Topher Grace-like, but much more, menacing, So this film is made without these first two films. All three of them are made without the inclusion of Spider-Man whatsoever. Venom is still an alien symbiote who's bonded with Eddie Brock, and he doesn't have a grudge against Peter Parker or Spider-Man. He's just sort of a mess. Eddie Brock, played by Tom Hardy, is an emotional, he's probably pretty physically strong, but he's emotionally, mentally just out of whack. He's not able to keep a stable love life with Michelle Williams. You remember her from Dawson's Creek and a whole bunch of other movies. She played Marilyn Monroe one time. I can't remember which film that was, but she's been Oscar nominated, or did she win an Oscar? She's the kind of actress you're just like, well, Tom Hardy is also, I think, either won or at least nominated for Oscars. These are good actors. Same with Woody Harrelson. They've all been nominated and won stuff over the years, and you just figure, well, maybe superhero movies aren't for them. You know what? There's a lot of Oscar winners in superhero movies these days, and even anti-superhero movies. So Venom, he started out as a villain for Spider-Man, and then eventually he became so popular in the comics, so popular, they just couldn't have him show up once a year or every couple of years in Spider-Man books just to try to eat his brains and fight him and then lose and then go away and have Mr. Fantastic show up with a sonic gun or something. He just really can't keep doing that. And so they made him a sort of anti-hero, kind of like Wolverine, but more murderous and actually a villain. Well, you know, okay, Wolverine was a villain at one point, technically. The further back you go in his history as they made it up. But so he became a lethal protector, and he went around still eating the heads of bad guys, I think. Well, actually, in the 90s, they were still adhering to the comics code, so I don't think there was a whole lot of actual head eating, brain eating. And of course, the same kind of restraints are in these films from Sony. They're PG-13, not rated R. Had it been R, it would have been so much cooler, probably. And PG-13 was basically done in order to allow a larger audience to go see these films, to expand the people who could go to this movie without having to drag their parents to it, technically. They're still letting kids under 13 in to PG-13 films. And also plenty of teenagers who love Venom. And then, put Carnage up against him. Who's Carnage? And why is he almost exactly like Venom? Well, he's sort of a permutation of the alien symbiote. And he attached himself to a serial killer. You know how I said I liked Venom back when he first arrived? And ever since they tried to make him into a hero character or an anti-hero character, never much liked him. And the idea of them being in a film where he's the lead, to me, it's never been a great idea. It didn't click with me. But I did see each of these films in theaters because I'm a completionist. Okay, I didn't see Madam Web or Craven in the theaters, but still. I figured there's at least an opportunity. Because this is a real solid connection to Spider-Man. And what could we see in this film? Well, certainly not Spider-Man in the main story, but you could probably see him in the mid or after credit sequences. And do we hop? Never. Nope. I'm not going to say it. There's obviously scenes in the mid credits, so yeah. One of the strangest things about this is I realized after watching just the first few minutes and knowing how it ends, the mid-credit sequence, that this is probably the first film in the MCU to really bring together multiple reality types at the same time. I mean, there's a character, what's her name? Well, Frances Barrison, she plays, it's not Scream. Well, I can't remember her name. But she has sonic powers. And at the beginning, she's kind of in love. She's in this prison along with this psych ward kind of prison with Cletus Cassidy, the serial killer. And they're in prison. And they fall in love through the walls, and they've devoted themselves to each other. But she states that she has a mutation and that they're coming to get her to take her to this place where there's other people like her. Now, that is a reference, more than likely, to Xavier's school. Whether she would fit in there really well or not, considering her personality type with willing to kill people. Maybe she wasn't willing to kill people yet, but she certainly takes on that tone later in this film. Yes, of course, Eddie Brock breaks out because he has Carnage. He has the Carnage symbiote. But yeah, so we get sort of an X-Men connection to a Spider-Man Venom reality, which is different than the regular MCU reality, which does include Peter Parker Spider-Man. So all of those, beginning and end, kind of connect. Do the X-Men exist? I would imagine they do in Eddie Brock's universe. So there's we don't ever see them, and I imagine she's the only mutant that we would ever see in these films. But there we go. It's actually the most crossovery movie of all so far. So far, definitely so far, with multiple elements of Marvel stuck in the same place. The funny thing is, we have it's not funny, but we have Andy Serkis, who is directing this movie. Yeah, the guy who played Gollum and Snoke in the recent trilogy, Star Wars trilogy, and then he's done other stuff. He was Ulysses Klaue in the MCU. He was in the Wakanda films. So, but he was also in Age of Ultron. But yes, so all this to say, this is a whole mishmash of different things trying to make it work. Obviously, what you're going to get with this is a neurotic Eddie Brock trying to deal with his stuff. His ex drops a bomb on him after not seeing him for a little while. He and Venom are not having a good time together, and they separate at one point. So this is kind of another breakup for him. And it's kind of a neat storytelling thing where he has to confess, to apologize for who he is, for what he's done, to both Venom and his girlfriend at the same time, ex-girlfriend at the same time. There's a lot of stuff going on in this, and I think it would work better in a lot of other situations, but I don't. To me, I just don't care. I think a lot of it feels like it's more important than it should be. It feels that it thinks it should be more important than it is, I should say. But for the most part, if you're going into a Venom movie, especially with Carnage, you just want to have them transform into tentacle monsters and fight each other. That's what they do. You want maximum violence. You're not going to get that with rated R. You get some heads bitten off, but they happen off screen, out of the range of the screen that you're literally looking at. Carnage has to lean over out of frame to bite somebody's head off. And you're allowed to say the F word once in a PG-13 film. And yes, it happens, and Venom gets it later in the film. Actually, one of the most endearing parts of this series of films, I've seen all three of them, is that the relationship with Venom and Eddie is pretty funny. It's they do not get along, they do not agree, but in the end, they really do care for each other. They are really symbiotic. They need each other, and not just out of necessity, but emotionally and physically, but not that way. So yeah, it's there's a balance of action and comedy and drama and romance and pathos and tragedy and just a whole lot of stuff having to go at once and trying to cram it into an hour and 38 minutes. And they basically spend the last 38 or 30-ish minutes, not if you take off the credits and everything else, the last 30 minutes or so in absolute just chaos violence. Just wrecking San Francisco with their just tentacle monster type violence. And I keep saying tentacle monster because these guys are the American version of tentacle monsters. Not with the same goals, but they as other tentacle monsters. These guys are just squishy, gooey, slimy monsters who with big teeth, and they're meant to be scary, but you're kind of used to them. Even people who have dealt with them after like one time, they're like, okay, that's a scary alien tentacle monster, and no more questions. Yeah, I mean, sure. Michelle Williams, who plays Anne, is put completely, she talks down to him. She knows how to mess with Venom. She knows how to appeal to his ego. and how to manipulate him. It's and she only met him in the last film and assumed he died. So yeah, there's a lot going on here. We also have, by the way, Stephen Graham as Detective Mulligan, who I saw something at the end of this film that I just didn't realize. I think we set up the villain for what would have been the next film, but I don't think it didn't come to be. Unless I'm forgetting the third film completely, which I am. I completely forgot most of what went on in this film as well, since I haven't seen it since 2021. Yeah, I knew Venom was in it, and Carnage was in it, and Woody Harrelson was fighting Tom Brady. Tom Brady. Tom Hardy. I have fought saying Tom Brady this entire time, and Tom Hardy. So yeah. Naomi Harris. Naomi Harris. Sorry, plays Shriek. That's the voice. That's the name I wanted. Reed Scott plays Dr. Dan, and of course, what we got. When you look at Woody Harrelson, can do just about anything. Sometimes he plays a drunken elder person in Hunger Games, or he's playing an innocent corn-fed boy from the middle of America bartending at Cheers, and he's all sorts of things, but he gets to play a redneck psychopath serial killer with an alien symbiote partner. He can do it all. So, yeah, so it's... Will we see all these characters again? Probably not. Unless the Secret Wars decide to change everything. And yeah. Maybe they'll do the Sandman thing like they did in No Way Home, Spider-Man No Way Home, and just take all of Thomas Hayden Church's performances and voices from his previous film in Spider-Man 2, and then just recreate them all in, oh God, AI. Hopefully not AI. We don't know. Yeah. So anyway, is this worthwhile seeing? Only if you're a really big Venom fan and Carnage fan. And the only thing I hate, I shouldn't say hate, but the only character I don't like more than Venom is Carnage. Carnage was never the right villain for Spider-Man. Yes, he was meant to go up against Venom because they're power for power. They're a match, and they're only off by a few different degrees, and so it becomes not an internal battle for Venom as much as a physical one. So understandable. But when Carnage showed up, probably I think the Eric Larson years, it just looked so scrawny and not. I don't know. He's a serial killer. Spider-Man needs to stop a serial killer. Because if he doesn't, he's going to kill again. Clearly. But Spider-Man can never kill. And so it's a villain who wins all the time, even when he loses. Because he'll break out again. Even if he doesn't read comics, he knows he's going to come back to life or get out of prison or whatever it is. I mean, at one point the Sentry tore him in half, and he was back. So I really there was not a lot going for this film for me to start with, other than the acting. The cast is fantastic. Andy Serkis, he didn't do anything wrong as far as I could tell. He put together some solid action scenes and presented the characters as the fans would have wanted. I don't think there was going to be a big opinion by anybody who had no idea who Carnage was. I would have preferred them to be a lot scarier, and in a rated R film, that would have been really cool. That would have just been awesome. But yeah, I don't know. It's just not meant to be. So they were still riding that line when it comes to maximizing their audience and being true to the comics for the nerds, because the nerds were just gonna either crap all over it if it wasn't done right, or they weren't gonna see it at all. So yeah, it's a difficult line to ride. But hey, you can watch it now on Disney Plus if you didn't go see it in the theaters. The Last Dance, well, we'll see when that shows up. But I have a feeling we have a few more from Sony that could arrive any month now. We'll see. That's all I gotta say about that. So I've already talked way too long about Venom. Let There Be Carnage. So tomorrow we got another one of those special looks that I set up as part of the series, because these are movies I want to see. And they might end up on Disney Plus, but in case they don't, I wanted to see a little sneak preview since they showed up on Disney Plus. And tomorrow is This Thing On, which is a comedy starring Will Arnett, Bradley Cooper, and why can't I say the lead female's name? Oh, Laura Dern. Laura Dern, yes. Yeah. So that's tomorrow. Is This Thing On? A special look is what we're watching next on the Disney Plus Everyday Challenge. I'll see you back here tomorrow with that.